I honestly am wondering how much day one consoles are going around.
As long as I get mine, I don't care.
Hi everyone, this is Matt. Welcome to the Real Gamerscore podcast. This week I'm joined by Cameron.
Hey.
And Aftos.
Howdy.
Here at Real Gamerscore, we'd like to discuss all things Xbox achievements and how KFC need to join our Patreon. This week we talk about trashing our tags, dooming our Xboxes, and crushing an entire nation underfoot. But first, here's the song of the week.
A long time ago, I played games for fun, but I haven't played for fun lately at all. This competition, I'm burning through points, and I don't know that I'll sleep again.
Thanks, Tarragon. That was another fantastic song. I'm not afraid to admit I have no idea what it is. Actually, no, I'm not sure. I don't know at all what it is, but I wouldn't be able to name it. That's for sure. What about you guys?
I have no idea.
I guess I have never heard this before.
All right, well, I guess that goes out to the community, guys. Mr. Mad Rockatansky, as he listens to it and always shouts out the song. I'm ruining it for the rest of everyone else in the Discord, but that's fine. Don't worry about it.
I can confirm now, looking at the actual answer, I do not know the song.
All right, fair enough. Yeah. All right, well, thanks, Tarragon, anyway. Community, come on, get into it. Let us know what the song is. Educate us. We appreciate it. As you can hear, it's the three of us again. We're doing another episode because Kirby's apparently too busy being a big shot.
We got a much better person. Much better pug owner, not person, on the podcast. I mean, have you noticed the difference? I haven't.
It's basically the same. It's fine. I mean, you're talking more lately, Cameron, but
I don't get yelled or talked over as often.
Shut up, Cameron.
You walk straight into that one.
I'm afraid both of you.
All right, where's that tunnel button? All right, Steve. I realized that you were on the podcast last week, but you didn't actually introduce yourself or talk anything about yourself. So I figured it might be a good idea if you just do a little bit of an intro about yourself. Again, it doesn't have to be a speed dating profile. Just a little bit about what kind of games you play, that kind of stuff. What kind of games you're into.
I'm sorry, it doesn't. Am I on the wrong podcast?
No, we're not doing the podcast thing again. I gave you guys that title last week. I'm not doing it again.
I don't know. Okay, so got my first Xbox when it came out with the Kinect. So that's when I jumped into the Xbox thing. Been gaming for a very long time. So actually, I put it in the Discord recently that I was selling my Game Gear that I found. Also had a Game Boy, had the old school Atari, way back when. Had a quote unquote gaming computer when I hit like year 10, where I had free space, which I'm dying to find something that is in any way, shape, or form similar to that. Didn't touch anything again until the Xbox generation, and been an Xbox fan ever since. What else? Games that I like playing. I pretty much play anything, to be honest. I'm happy to do anything, but I am one of these really weird people in terms of the podcast where I actually play for fun.
That's okay. Well, this is Aftos' last episode.
So as long as it's fun, I'm happy to play. If it's not fun, I'll put it down. Achievement-wise, I just like keeping my completion rate above 75. That's my benchmark. Apart from that, happy to play whatevs.
Great.
Right, and I love long walks on the beach.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah. Moonlit candle. Fantastic. Thank you for joining us on the show again. We really appreciate it.
Pleasure.
All right. Now, if you want to talk to Aftos or Cameron or myself, you can find us on the Discord, discord.io/realgamerscore. Basically, if you don't know what Discord is, it's a big chat room or a number of chat rooms where like-minded people talk about things like video games and feet pictures, and occasionally KFC. Actually, no, probably more than occasionally. Like, probably more than we should, actually. KFC comes up a fair amount.
Yeah, I feel like I'm probably the result of that.
Yeah, it's almost certainly your fault, Cameron. Although, like I said, I do need to try the new popcorn chicken slab.
Slab, yep. It's 6. So it is 6 dinner rolls, cut in half down the middle, with cheese sauce, barbecue sauce, and popcorn chicken.
I mean, look,
I had one tonight, and it's freaking amazing.
I can't, like, I was going to get on your case of being like, that's absolutely disgusting, but I would 100% eat that if it came over here.
Same. Definitely.
Like easy. Like, KFC is like my kryptonite, because it's like the double down, it's like the mozzarella burger, like whatever they chuck out there, I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna give that a try. I don't care. It's fried chicken.
Until you go to a KFC during COVID and you realize they only have drumsticks or whatever.
Oh,
and
yeah,
you
again.
completely crack it.
Look. I mean, why are they even open? If I can't get a burger or popcorn chicken, or like if I have to get a drumstick, I'm wasting my time. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that rant again.
I was going to say I could rant on this for an hour. Like, I have perfect stories, but that's for the KFC podcast.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll do Patreon KFC only.
Do you want to hear a whole Patreon episode about KFC? I will do it.
I mean, look,
we all have stories.
I will do a rant episode. I don't care. Like, I will just go off on whatever. It's great. We'll do it. Speaking of Patreon, patreon.com/realgamerscore. Basically, give us some money. Patreon, if you don't know, is a service where you can pay monthly for people, creators, and things like that you want to support. So we do this, the podcast, obviously, and we use the funds to help pay for hosting, for prizes, occasionally for equipment, and that sort of stuff, so we can keep the lights on and keep the show as best as possible. So if you want to help us out, we really, really appreciate it. You also get access to this extra Discord channel, which has all of our stuff in there. We're probably going to be doing some extra content for them. I know we say that all the time, but I'm saying it this time instead of Kirby, so it might actually happen. We also put the outtakes in there once they get finalized. I'll get on Kirby about that as well. Once he's not on the podcast, so he's got no excuse. He's not doing anything. But yeah, so we really appreciate that, all of our Patreons. So if you want to join, again, that link is patreon.com/realgamerscore. So we've also got the random to-do list, which is a list of 25 random achievements generated from your game collection on TA. Basically, it's a bit of an incentive to get you to play through your backlog, get a little bit competitive. If you're not sure what to play, point in the right direction, usually. For our contest, all you have to do is answer a question and win one achievement. So the question for last month was name another game with the word arena in it. And the prize for that was Rocket Arena, kindly donated by Aftos here. And so we'll be drawing that next week. So you do have one more week to get your question in, the answer to that question in, if you earned some points, if you earned an achievement last month. If you didn't, then you're out of luck, and you'll have to wait for the next week. And as we talked about, the word challenge, everyone's favorite Real Gamer Score competition, where Kirby comes up with a game or something along those lines and then gives you the worst clues possible to never be able to figure it out.
The absolute, and not only the worst clues, but the wrong clues as well.
The wrong clues. Yeah, so last week I misread something Kirby typed, and I said that the game had 150,000 people have played it. It turns out he meant to say 100,000, but nevertheless, someone did guess the answer. I'm surprised it took as long as it did. For those who don't know, the answer was Lego Batman, which was guessed by one Machine Snipes, friend of the show.
Less than 24 hours after joining the Discord.
I mean, look, it wasn't even 24 hours. It was 5 minutes. Because him and a bunch of the people over at Achievement Hunters Anonymous, shout out to them, were sitting in a party with me trying to guess it. And I was just laughing at them because they were just miles and miles and miles off. And they kept trying to, they didn't understand what a license game was, so I had to explain that. It was really like leading a horse to water. And I couldn't believe that not a single person had guessed a single Lego game in the entire time. There was people who guessed Batman. There were people who guessed Telltale stuff, all kinds of licensed stuff, but no one guessed a Lego game. And then Lego Batman was the first Lego game that Snipes was like, well, I'm just going to try some. And he tried Lego Batman first and won. So congrats to him. If you need a reminder of what the clues were, and I'll explain how they relate. So the first clue was 92. So Lego Batman was the 92nd game that I completed, which I know that one Jay Black almost got it by going through and looking at Kirby's completions and figured his 92nd completion was Bridge Constructor, which wasn't the correct answer. But if he'd kept going along those lines of thinking, this would have been a very, very short contest.
Yeah, I had the same form of thinking. I was like, 92, it's probably his 92nd one. The only difference between me and Jay Black, he actually worked out how to figure out someone's 92nd completion. I was looking at TA trying to go through it, and I was like, where is this option? I'm like, it has to be that. I'm like, I won't say anything, but I'll wait for the rest. But yeah, sure enough, he's ridiculously clever in thinking outside the box. So big shout out to him.
Yeah, no, he did a great job, even though he didn't win this time. I'm sure he'll probably get the next one and the next 5. And then, so yeah, the other clue was January 2010. That was the date that was the month that I completed the game. It was an Xbox title. It was a licensed title. So obviously, Lego and Batman is actually a double licensed title. Been played by over 100,000 people, which was 121, I think, at the last count. 150. Although there is also a JP version. Excuse me. I'm also dying, by the way, which is why I sound terrible. Congrats to Machine Snipes on that. Make sure you get in contact with Shin. He'll get you your $40 dues.
Is he Australian?
No, it's US. US dollary dues.
So like $5 American. Nice.
Look, with the with the exchange rate,
look,
I
he
have
can
no
buy
idea
a
what's going
whole
on
family meal at KFC with that money.
No, we're not coming back to the KFC chat. All right, my arteries are clogging up just talking about it.
I can remind me to tell you a story about KFC and arteries clogging up later.
We'll leave it for the outtakes. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Give him a bit of a tease. We're taking the week off for this one. Kirby's going to try and come up with a new one, and we'll do a new contest next week when we also draw the winners for the Patreon and the random to-do list draw for last month.
And he'll make it 10 times as hard.
Yeah, or we'll make it slightly easier. We'll see. One or the other.
To be fair, like once everything sort of panned together, it was good, but I definitely like their think outside the box sort of things. I think it really challenges, which is good.
Just remember, sometimes the easiest answer is often the correct one.
Yeah, yours was fantastic too.
It was awful. Don't give me any credit. It was terrible.
What'd you say?
No,
Nice.
I'm out. No,
Nice.
All right. Moving on to news. Cameron, you can do all the news. What do you got?
What? Wait, what? News? There's news?
Yeah, come on.
News?
We're doing news,
all right,
mate.
Cool. All right, well, how long we got to the Xbox Series X launch? Probably... Who's been counting
November
down?
10, so
5 weeks.
1 month and 4 days.
Who's been counting down to the consoles would definitely get a launch date. Those
Actually, yeah. Do we want to just start with that?
Yeah.
I mean, I know we talked about it last week, but people are getting real salty about it.
I don't really have an article per se to quote for this, but I mean, JB Hi-Fi in Australia said that a lot of their stock is going to be sometime in December. A lot of text messages were sent out. I'm pretty sure Kirby got one. I'm pretty sure Adrian got one. I'm pretty sure Brad did as well, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Just quite a few. I honestly am wondering how much day one consoles are going around.
As long as I get mine, I don't care.
Yeah, that's the correct answer.
kind of made me think that it's probably better that this time around they haven't done like day one edition or anything like that.
Oh, yeah, that would have been bad if they'd missed that.
Because people would have absolutely cracked the nannies.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
100%.
But I don't really have anything else to say on that. There's not really that many articles other than, I mean, the week prior to this, where we're talking about Target cancelling orders. Just looks like some people have just over-allocated stock. Unfortunately, had to.
I'm wondering if there's fights between the regional areas to get the consoles. Because the thing is, like, I'm sure they have a total shipment number that's coming into the country.
I'd imagine.
And so suddenly, New South Wales has got 400 or whatever, And suddenly, they're like, oh yeah, we've sold 500. It's like, well, guess what? We're going to have to draw straws or get into fistfights over who's going to be missing out.
I do remember Xbox ANZ saying that there was no supply issue in the Series X and it was all retail. That's what they hinted at, that it was a retail thing. Just trying to find it now. But I'm 90% certain I saw that.
I'm just trying to think of the order that it would go in, because Microsoft would have first allocation.
Yes.
I would imagine...
And I don't think we've seen anything from Microsoft cancelling any orders or anything like that.
I would imagine Telstra or EB after. And then getting onto...
Yeah, Telstra would make sense because of the partnership.
With the subscription-based service. I would dare say it would be something like Microsoft, Telstra, EB, JB, and then getting onto your smaller ones. Not smaller, but like Big W, Target, etc. But yeah, there's not really that many articles floating around. Saying that, we did get some technical news this week about the Series X and S. First one I want to go with is the Xbox Series X/S will allow you to uninstall parts of games to free up storage. So, some other news that dropped this week is that the Xbox Series X is going to have 802 gig of usable storage. The PS5 was... I want to say about 650 off the top of my head.
658 or something along those lines, yeah.
Which to me is just...
quite a bit less.
Like 1/4 of your advertised space is taken up by your OS.
Yeah. It's just
that
kind
really
of
blows.
It really does. Like, I just don't... I mean, like, I get it, because, like, it's got to go somewhere, right? But... yeah, it's not a great one.
All right,
it could be
merely
worse.
go over the blows comment. Just okay.
No, I'm giving that joke the amount of attention it deserves, Cameron.
Anyway, so yeah, the new feature will allow us to remove components of a game where possible. For instance, if a game has a multiplayer and a single player component, and you've downloaded both, but then finish the campaign and want to retain the multiplayer, you can delete the campaign and save yourself some storage. Which is,
yeah, makes good sense, and this is something that they've been thinking about for video games for a long time. I think it was one of the early Black Opses on Steam. They did a bit where they would partition out the multiplayer and the single player as a sort of test, and also they sold the multiplayer by itself for like half price or whatever.
Oh, nice.
Again, I don't think they ever went ahead with doing it with the future releases, but the idea was there to say, well, people are obviously... some people care about the whole package, some people only care about bits and pieces. And even Doom Eternal, I was just installing it, already has this option in there about having the campaign separately downloaded if that's all you're interested in.
Yeah, as a 10 megabit file.
Yes, obviously.
I was going to say, please don't tell me that freeing up parts of the game will be a 10 megabit file.
Yeah, exactly. That's remains to be seen what it is in reality. But I'm hoping that that actually gets some good use out of it, because I think it makes perfect sense that once you dump, to not have the bits that you're not playing.
Exactly.
You don't need them.
Especially if it's a case of you're just deciding just to have the 1 terabyte and primarily using that.
The only thing I was going to add to it is, I mean, it all sounds good in theory, but again, it's up to the developers to actually use it.
Yeah,
so, so if you're already saying Doom Eternal has that, fantastic, but that sort of tells me that they've had the option to do it in the past, and it obviously hasn't been taken up by many people. As much as they can hold on to their horse and say, yep, that's going to be a feature. It's up to the devs. So
I think might be partly because they're looking at cross-gen compatibility for these later games. Like Doom Eternal is going to be a big push for Microsoft. Now they're owned by Microsoft. And I'm wondering, how long has this feature been available for? And you're right, who's going to take advantage of it, if anyone?
Makes me also wonder, too, whether we're going to see a situation like Crackdown.
Yeah, I think that might be more likely. I mean, even looking at Doom Eternal's first DLC pack, I was just reading up about it. I think it comes out in a couple of weeks. That's going to be completely separate and standalone. So, maybe that's the way forward, that they just do content packs that are completely separate from a lot of games. Again, I'm sure most devs will just do it regular. But having the option there, I think, is good, especially with space being so limited on these consoles. It's almost a requirement. Because, looking at, was it Call of Duty, 250 gigs.
Jesus.
Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And every update just adds more.
Yeah. Gotta love the similar to the PUBG downloads for Xbox, where it downloads the entire game file every time you have an update.
Yep. Sounds efficient.
I was gonna say, going back to that, can you think of any games off the top of your head that have allowed DLC to be played separately? I can't think of any.
There aren't really that many, because part of it was that they wanted people to buy the base game and get the DLC for it. Like standalone DLC things have been things in the past, but usually from like re-releases. So, for example, when Diablo 3 came out with their expansion, they basically re-released it with the expansion included as a standalone game, but that still had the original stuff in it. So again, I don't know.
Because I'm thinking of stuff like Age of Empires 2 and that have had it, but I can't really think of any off the top of my head.
No, not really. I think maybe it'll be more of a thing going forward.
Be interesting. Have we got anything else to really comment on this? I mean, I love the fact that if I can play a campaign, get all the achievements. That's the other thing too. How this will affect the achievement list. Will we see something that's similar to Crackdown, where it has two separate lists, one campaign, one multiplayer?
I'd like that.
It'd be nice to see a few devs, like, if I said to Matt, all right, Black Ops Cold War has an absolutely amazing campaign, but I know that you're not going to want to play the multiplayer. 500G for the multiplayer, 1,000 for the base game. You jump on the base game, wouldn't you?
100%. Like, I would jump on so many games like that. That, again, I worked through most of that stuff on like the 360 back in the day, when it was like they had tacked on multiplayer modes you had to grind through, and I just sort of grit my teeth and dealt with them. But I would play a lot more of this stuff. Like, I'm looking at Doom Eternal. Like, it's kind of annoying that it has the multiplayer stuff. It is a little bit of a drawback, because I'm just like, I don't want to have to deal with that. And I know that, I don't have to do anything, but this is me we're talking about here.
I think the other thing that you also need to recognise, Crackdown was first-party dev, so they're more inclined to be doing stuff like that. Third-party,
but I mean,
less
like,
inclined.
Microsoft's just got to keep on buying studios, then we'll have all first-party devs.
Yeah, it's all first-party.
Yeah, buy all the
Always
studios. That's a solution.
I mean, like, look, I mean, we've got that many Bethesda games in now. Like, it's fine. Moving along, Xbox Series X. We'll resume on to the next story, because it is a quick resume feature.
Oh, God. No. I knew letting you read the news that was a mistake.
Matt's just silently dying in the corner. Not so silently.
Oh, yeah. No.
But
I'm trying to count how many edits I'm going to have to do to save this shipwreck. All right.
Yeah, so Xbox Series X, this is probably my most, like, looking forward to feature.
Anticipated.
That's the word I was looking for. Yeah. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that I'm looking forward to more. So, press start. Got hands on the Xbox Series X this week, which I'm not sure if anybody else saw the week prior. They also had a really nice neon light given by Microsoft as well.
No, I didn't see that.
It's the same size of the console to give it an indication of the depth.
Right, okay.
And length of the width and all that. But it looks absolutely amazing. I might send a photo of it in the podcast channel later. But yeah, a few people got their hands on it. Press Start was one of them. They tested out Quick Resume, and they were able to go up to, I think it was 5 titles.
5 titles,
But there's been reports of up to 7 or 8 games at once as well, depending on the.
Do you want to explain what Quick Resume is, just for anyone who doesn't know?
So Quick Resume is where you can jump seamlessly between game to game. Basically, quick resuming from your last checkpoint or save point in the game.
Wherever you left it, basically. Yeah. So the idea is that the game will basically save to the RAM, and allowing you to, when you change between games on, say, the Xbox One currently, it'll shut down the game and you'll need to boot it from cold, basically, to go through the menu, load your game, and then load back into whatever you're playing. Whereas Quick Resume will allow you, with a small delay, allow you to jump back to exactly where you were as if the game was just running in the background, which it basically was. But yes, they've sort of touting to have like 5 is the sort of standard number. Yeah. But like you said, there've been reports of 7 or 8 with the smaller games. Basically, the RAM can only hold so many games at once, but the smaller the title, the easier it is to do.
Honestly, when this first got announced too, I was thinking maybe like 3 or 4 of like your, I guess, Xbox One end of generation kind of titles. But so a few of the ones they tested was just Ori Will the Wisps, Ori and the Blind Forest, Resident Evil 7 and Battletoads. But yeah, it just all comes down to, end of the day, how much memory the game is utilizing. Saying that games such as Destiny 2 or Sea of Thieves that do have a multiplayer component will have
always online and that sort of stuff. That seems,
So those games will not utilize the feature,
which makes sense because they'd have to deal with server timing out and stuff like that.
So it'd be interesting too if there's going to be like how easy this is for a dev to implement, which I would imagine incredibly easy.
I imagine super easy, I hope. Barely an inconvenience, right? Like they just, again, like, we're not devs, but it does seem like, look, if Resident Evil 7 could do it, and Capcom are basically the laziest devs in the world.
You're not lying.
When it comes to like,
wow, it's shady here.
Look, like, every time it's like, oh, backwards compatibility. Nah, mate, we're just going to sell you the same game again. Buy the port, full price. Like they're not usually ones to do any of this kind of stuff if it causes any kind of issue. I find that with a lot of Japanese devs, actually, to be honest. They're not lazy; they're just tired from working too hard. I'm hoping this is like one of those things that basically the devs don't have to do anything as long as doesn't have like a server side connection. The game would the OS would basically just do the work for you,
which is what I imagine it is anyway. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's even dumping it to the SSD, isn't it? Is that the way I read it and interpret it correctly?
I don't know, actually, from a technical stuff. I was watching Digital Foundry talk about it.
All right, so
just quickly, do you guys like? It is a very interesting feature, and like you said, Cameron, you're anticipating it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Do you guys actually think you're going to be using the feature though?
100%.
100%.
So I had an example the other night. Was it the other night? About a week ago, probably. Me and Cameron were doing something, and he's like, I'm off to go have tea. So I had the thing where I was just like, okay, well, I've got about 5-10 minutes, depending here. Do I stay in the game and just, go on my phone, or, do I do the whole shut down, start a new game, which takes a minute to load, and then if he finishes in 5, I really only get 4 minutes of gameplay, whatever. That, you could be on multiplayer something. Okay, I need to go.
I'm going to come halfway back during tea and finish my tea with you.
Yeah, and hear the chewing on the... but yeah, I was just like, okay, this could be easy. If I had quick resume, it'd literally be 2 button presses. I'm in a single player game. I can finish up what I'm doing, go to the next check save. And not only that, like, especially as, like, I generally tend to flip around games depending on my mood. So just being able to do that, like, I think it's a really good feature. I don't know if I'll need 7 or 8. I was thinking the same thing as you, Cameron, at the start, probably 3 or 4. So 5 is gravy for me, but yeah, I'm definitely going to be using it.
Oh, fair enough.
Matt?
And Cameron, I assume you're the same?
Yeah, pretty much it. What are your thoughts?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's interesting, but...
Well, you only play baby games anyway. They only take about half an hour to finish.
Exactly. It would take faster. It would take longer for it to actually boot up than it would to actually finish. So, I mean, yeah, look, if I could switch between Ratalaika to Ratalaika, like, that's the dream, right? Yeah, I don't know. I think that most of the longer form stuff that I play tends to be the server connection stuff. Like The Division and things like that. Things that I'm not really super into. Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be one of those things that I'll probably find a use for it, but nothing springs to mind currently. Like, I'm not, like, super, like, oh, I'm going to do this. And it's like, well, if I find a use for it, I find a use for it. But, yeah, it's not super appealing to me, to be honest.
With me, I'm the kind of person that either me and Adrian share like a massive digital backlog. I think I've got like 1,000 games pretty much installed at any one time, and then another 300 physical media. To me, it's just if anybody asks for help in some kind of multiplayer game, it's just bang. I can swap over, go back to what I was working on with a click of my fingers.
Yeah, I think for me it's more like, hey, can I help you with this? And then I just appear offline.
It's like I joined that party.
Such a nice guy.
Oh, I was going.
Like, I got my own games to do. Right? No, I'm just kidding. Like, I'm not actually like that. It's a persona that I put on for the show. I know I'm breaking kayfabe right now, but just so you know, if you do actually want to like play video games with me, I'm super down with that. Unless they're like bad games, in which case I'm super down because people need help with that stuff.
I'm surprised I haven't been called out by the two people on the podcast here about Doom and Sunset Overdrive.
I gave up on you and Sunset. Is that thing still installing for you?
You know what? Ever since I plugged the OG, I got a story to tell later, but ever since I plugged the OG over here, it's installed. Or it's mostly installed.
So you can help me?
I can, it's just going to be a slower console, but that's fine.
You'll be fine.
After the competition. After my
Yeah.
Yes, after everything's on hold for the competition, which I'm sure we'll have a bit of an update on when we get to what we've been playing.
We've got to get moving, this podcast, more games to play.
Yeah, true. What do we got next? What's the one for next news story?
Just before we move on to also the fact that Press Start, the guys from it moved the console to another room, had the exact same quick resume feature and all that as well.
Oh, so really?
That I didn't even think of it beforehand, but they tested it.
Okay.
Just a quote. Here's where things get absolutely crazy and where I've been blown away. Earlier today, I decided to move my Xbox Series X into my study in order to capture game footage for this article. I booted up Resident Evil 7, which I quickly tested last night, and thanks to Quick Resume, I was literally straight back into the game exactly the same point as to where I left it last night. That's after unplugging the console for an extended amount of time and launching at least 8 or 9 games since moving the console between rooms. I haven't been able to test it yet, but it's supposed to work even after updating your console, which I have no reason not to believe at this point.
Wow, okay, that is pretty impressive. So, yeah, they'd have to be saving it to the SSD then.
Yeah, that's the way I understood it when I was watching it. So, I think that, like, essentially 200 gig that you lose from the SSD, part of that is the OS, part of that is the quick resume functionality, and was there something else as well? But yeah, that's where essentially that save sort of state is going.
Just from the video there, like loading between Resident Evil took like 10 seconds to get in the game, and then just Battletoads 2 seconds.
Which is also why I'm pretty sure they said you can still do quick resume even if you're playing stuff off an external SSD that isn't the official Seagate one, because it's actually dumping it into the internal SSD.
So it doesn't matter,
Yeah. I believe. Someone may correct me, but that's my understanding of it.
I would definitely worth testing out. I'll be really interested once we get our hands on the console in 2020.
I was going to say, yeah, let's wait for somebody to listen to this episode like 6 months later, and then
no one's going to be listening to this in 6 months. Are you kidding me?
Hey, some people are catching up. There's that one guy in the Discord that says he's still catching up.
He still listens to the episodes of Tarragon on it. At the very start.
Wow. Okay. Yes, that was a while back. We now go on to the Ubisoft corner.
The shame corner.
Every week.
The shame corner of the podcast, where we go like, you go sit there, you think about what you've done, and then you tell me how you're going to somewhat make it better, but don't deliver on that promise.
And then every week it's like, oh, hey, here's a new story of just the horrible stuff that's going on at Ubisoft.
I can understand. I can understand why now Bethesda was the smarter choice in purchase.
Yeah. Then there's dumpster fire. All right. So basically, a report's come out from Game Informer that 25% of Ubisoft employees have experienced or witnessed workplace misconduct, which is quite a broad term, misconduct. But given the reports we've had from the other stuff that's been talked about on the previous episodes, I guess you have a fair idea of what kind of misconduct they're talking about.
Yep.
Yeah. That's a large percentage. Toxic environment. You would wonder what if there was any sort of way for people to blow the whistle earlier. 1 in 4 is a huge statistic for it to be held on for years that this has been going on. So you imagine that there's some sort of major issue in terms of culture and the openness between, management and their workers. There's a huge issue there. But 25%, they also did say witness. So whether people saw it and were worried about their own careers and just didn't say anything because it is coming from the top.
But that's also troubling in general, again, even if, it's just, being in an environment where you don't feel like you can report anything like that is bad in and of itself. So basically, this number is the result of the survey that they were going on recently. So the Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot was talking about how they were going to do an investigation, which some people raised their eyebrows at a bit because he's the head of the company, and it's and these numbers coming out even make that worse because it's like, well, look, if 25% of people report this, how did you not know about it? So it was apparently conducted by a third-party research company with a survey that had over 14,000 people in it. Yeah. So that's 3,500 people, roughly, who reported this. Having experienced some sort of workplace misconduct or witnessed it happening over the past 2 years alone. Which is... Yeah, and also, apparently another 1 in 5 reported they did not feel fully respected or safe in their work environment.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Going on to disproportionate amount reporting misconduct were either non-binary workers or women. Saying that men were also very vocal about them too experiencing and witnessing it whilst within the company. The manners of misconduct included in the findings encompass sexual harassment, racism, sexism, abuse of power, and generalized misconduct.
Yeah. I mean, and as there, again, there's not much to say else than what we have already said. It's horrific, and they've had a lot of people leaving the company. The most recent they've mentioned is Beyond Good and Evil's Michelle Ancel, and there was some reports that apparently this was in direct correlation with these investigation results, although he's come out and denied that. Which, I hope it isn't true because I love Beyond Good and Evil and I really enjoy Michel Ancel's work. He worked on the Rayman stuff. He was a really, really great creative force within Ubisoft, but oh boy, they've just been dragging. What you see, Cameron, is 100% right. Microsoft not buying Ubisoft makes perfect sense at this point because even if they could afford it, who would want to take this on?
Yeah. I mean, maybe if Sony had bought Bethesda, that YouTuber said 9 months ago, but who would want to take this on? But saying that, it's, I'm hoping that now all this is out in the air, it gives, especially the unrepresented in Ubisoft, a voice to actually get stuff going, like how in Odyssey you have the choice between Cassandra and I can't remember the male lead.
Alexandrios?
Yeah, something like that.
Alex something? I can't remember, yeah.
And actually getting stuff like women, more representation in these games.
Well, that was the thing, right? Is that originally they pitched Odyssey as being you could only pick Cassandra. That was the original idea, and then basically the higher ups came in and said, "No, we got to put a meathead male in here," which is why he's the worst written character in the entire game. Yeah, because they were "I don't care, this guy sucks."
Saying that, same thing with Syndicate. I'm pretty sure it was meant to be Evie's. Is it Evie's story?
Yes. Yeah.
And then they got it to extend out to Jacob, and yeah.
I mean, I think that kind of works, but yeah, exactly.
I mean, when you have a clear vision, though, and then you go and then it's hey, look, we totally... women in video
games don't sell, apparently.
Yeah, we totally, quotation, like what you're doing. However, have you considered a male lead?
Yeah.
Have you considered how well you want your job? Ah, okay.
Well, that's call me a cynic, but I just don't know if this is going to change anything.
I mean,
Because
I remain
clearly this. Yeah, I'm hopeful, but I really just don't think that Ubisoft still makes money hand over fist. I don't think, as far as I'm aware, this hasn't. They have pretty good games, and they have relatively consistent games. We'll say.
Yeah.
And I don't really see if I haven't heard anything about this affecting their bottom line. The only thing that was affecting their bottom line is the fact they put out a couple of bad games just in general. So
I feel like with Ubisoft games, like day in day out, it's a safe bet. You know what you're getting. It's pretty much the Watch Dogs 2 is going to be the exact same as Watch Dogs 1, just with a few minor improvements.
Sure.
Your Far Cry's, your Just Dance, like they have that series of games.
They have the Ubisoft game where they just try to cram everything into it, which apparently was one of the higher ups' ideas. So maybe we'll see change. I really hope so.
Yeah, look, I actually think they will, especially now that it's in the open. It's getting talked about. You do have an image. You still have a company. You still have shareholders. They're all going to want some sort of head to roll, just to at least, at very minimum, just show to the community or show to the public that that they're intent on keeping their image clean and tidy and all that sort of stuff. So whether it's the right heads that roll, that's a different story. But I think you'd be surprised. I think something will definitely happen. To what extent, what degree, up for debate, but I reckon you'd be surprised.
How long ago was that attempt at I'm not sure if it succeeded, but the attempt at a hostile takeover by buying the shares?
Oh, that was Tencent, wasn't it?
Well, no, Vivendi.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that was a few years ago now.
Yeah.
The success of their more recent titles like Siege and things like that actually earned them enough money to be able to fend that off and actually stay independent.
Having said that, if Microsoft do want to buy Ubisoft, please do. I would love that.
I just want to see the salt. I just want to see how salty everyone gets about it. I don't even care about the games. It's all just about the salt.
It's okay. We don't have any first party exclusive. It's fine.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that wonderful news story out of the way, we're all back down to our baseline. Let's go on to what we've been playing.
Steve, do you want to go first? Me and Matt have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, fair enough. So with the what's it called? What's that thing that's happening at the moment that you two are doing?
The Hall of Fame.
The Hall of Fame, yeah. So I've been not part of that, but what I have been doing is trying to get the 10,000 achievements for 10,000 Microsoft points.
A $10 gift card.
Yeah, that's essentially the way I'm looking at it. I'm like, you know what? I've got a few baby games in my backlog that I'm happy to sort of go through to try get that 10k. And if that earns me $10 and chips down my backlog, so why not?
And when you say you were happy to do, was that before you or after you played them?
It depends. It depends on the game. So the first game I went through my list and I was just like, okay, where are my 5 to 10 hour completions that are going to be somewhat enjoyable because I am on holidays and I'm trying to enjoy them at least a little bit. So I started off with Soma.
Oh, yep.
Which, it's not really a walking sim, but it's
like walking sim / survival horror. Like it's got some light survival horror and puzzle elements in it, but it's mostly walking sim.
Yeah. So I heard really good things about it. Picked it up on sale ages ago for like $10. Never got around to doing it. I was like, all right, this is a perfect time. Hit it up. I started off making sure that there were no missables. There was one missable, but not really because you have to go to the room apparently anyway. So I was like, all right, that's easy enough. I'll start playing through. I think I got stuck very, very early on a puzzle that I could not work out. So I'm like, oh God, I hope this has a guide. Sure enough, it has a guide. I was like, nice. I still took my time trying to get into the story and whatnot. I won't spoil it because I do think it's a game that people should play. The only thing I would state is I wish the ending planted a few more seeds into what they were trying to put into people's minds. But I really, really enjoyed it. A lot of, like, it poses a couple of really big questions, which I think is fantastic. Having said that, I'm glad I used a guide, though, because there were some puzzles in there that I was looking at going, I would have never worked this out by myself. But yeah, that was really enjoyable. I went back to Batman, the Telltale series. I was doing that with a party with Cameron and pretty much idling while I was doing some schoolwork, which is fantastic. I think it was the second or third act, pretty much ran through the whole thing, apart from one section where it needed input and just getting achievements, which was fantastic. So thank you, Telltale. Having said that, got to the final act, and there were some major stuttering issues on my 1X. Like, it was horrible, like almost unplayable, which was kind of bad because up until that stage I was actually enjoying the story. A few twists that I didn't see, a twist that I thought was going to happen that never eventuated. So, like, the story was fine, but that final act was rough.
Yeah. The Telltale engine has not aged well.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, no offense to those guys, but yeah, that last act really, really put a downer on the whole thing for me. Played this month's Games with Golds because that looked like a really quick completion. So, Slaywet Camp, Butcher's Cut, been making my way through that. Again, with a guide, because I'm just trying to get through as many achievements and points as possible just so I can get my 10k. Which, and I know I said it to you in a party, I don't know how you do this day in and day out. I was like 3 days in and I'm like, I freaking hate myself. I'm like, I can't believe this is what it's come down to. But, $10 is $10 and backlog is a backlog, so two birds, one stone. But yeah, there is this guide for Slaywet Camp, Butcher's Cut as well. If you are into your puzzle sort of games, it's actually really fun. Like I was following the guide for a very large majority of it. I tried a few puzzles here and there, but pretty much as soon as I failed twice, I'm like, all right, what's the guide say now?
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's fun. Like if I wasn't just going for points, I'd probably spend a bit more time for it. Sprinkled that in with a bit of South Park, The Fractured But Whole. The only thing with that is there are a couple of missables in it. One is for having a playing on Diabolical with a black character. Mastermind with a black character.
Mastermind, yeah.
And according to the guide, there's no walkthrough, but there is a guide for it. For that one achievement, it says you must create a blacksmith character from the start, which I did, and then it says when you're given the option to change difficulty, you have to select Mastermind, and that happens when you fight the E6. I've done the tutorial fights. I have fought a couple of 6th graders. I have not had the opportunity to pick...
Is that in your real life or is that in the game?
Just beating him down.
No, I do high school. U6 is a... but yeah, I haven't had the chance to pick my difficulty yet, so I feel like I've somehow missed the opportunity for that, and I'm really confused.
I was trying to remember in the party where it was that you get it, but I can't think of it.
I can't remember either.
I can remember the slider and the character select screen, but I can't remember like the sequence of events.
Look, I'm still going to chug through it. I think I'll be slightly annoyed if... and the other thing that sort of annoyed me about the game, I changed it early on, so you can hit the menu button, change it to Mastermind difficulty before any sort of choice.
Yeah.
So I did that, and then the next time I loaded it up, I played for a bit, and then I hit it again because I wanted to change some sort of setting. I forget which one it was, and then I realised it had changed it back to heroic. And I had done a fight at that stage, and I'm like, oh, don't tell me. And then I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to go through. If I miss it, I miss it. But yeah, that one just seems a little buggy in my opinion. But yeah, so that caps out the week, and I know you're going to laugh at me because I've been trying so hard for points, but I'm like at about 1,500-ish. And that was over 3 days, so I thought I was doing fantastic. But I know both of your numbers are ridiculously larger, so I will just slink into the shadows and pass it on.
All right, you want to... Yeah.
Nah, Cameron, mate, it's all you, mate. You got stories to tell.
All right, cool.
Well, that was the segue. Pass it. I'll slink into the shadows. Come on.
Cool.
Work with me.
Come on. Aftos knows what's up.
All right, so I've got a few things I want to do. A few things I want to mention. In the space of 5 days, I have started 100 games.
Oh,
I think over the space of 7 days, I've started 130 to 140 games. Top of my head. And I've played some interesting ones. I think out of all the games that I've started, I haven't been able to get an achievement in, I'm going to say 6 off the top of my head. Rather it being too difficult, too boring, or I just did not know what I was doing. Saying that, there are a few that are just absolutely boring. So I'll start off with them. The hard starts, I started Momodora, which was in a party with Aftos. It is quite a interesting side-scrolling kind of like platformer / pretty much just platformer like Dark Souls.
It's a Metroidvania, is what it is.
Which wasn't too bad for the start until I realised it's very back-ended. One of the first achievements you get is for finishing the game. I have seen 2-hour videos on YouTube, so I'm just debating whether I get to this at a later stage. Saying that I stayed in long enough to get the first boss done without taking damage, which gives you... if you can defeat a boss without taking damage, you get special items. First boss in the game gives you poison arrows, which can still poison you, but they are like amazingly helpful for taking down enemies that can basically hit you 3 times and kill you. Lord of the Rings card game. Absolutely boring as all hell.
Oh man, it's just Hearthstone with Gollum.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's exactly Hearthstone, but completed the tutorial and all that, hoping the achievement would pop. Didn't work. Seems to be a common issue on TA, so I might have to work on another achievement. Saying this game has, I think, 16,000 TA off the top of my head, so I'm probably not going to get a quick achievement in it. In terms of boring games, Dark Crystal Tactics.
Oh, really?
I just could not get into it. Just, don't understand what's going on. Just nothing was popping for me. I decided to move on. Had a few tech issues with a few games I started that I realised after that my Xbox One X on the way out. I started Darksiders 3 about 5 times, with console crashes each time. 5th time I actually popped an achievement. Doom Eternal, every time I got past the cutscene at the very beginning of the game, console would crash. Moved my 8TB hard drive onto Nikita's console and worked beautifully. The graphics are that bad that it looks like a Doom 64. But I honestly don't mind. I didn't mind. Saying that, Doom Eternal feels really weird for a Doom game to me. 2016 felt fast-paced, action-packed. This is kill every single enemy in the area, progress. Kill every single enemy in the area, progress. So
I mean, that was Doom 2016 too, for the most part.
But
I just felt like it hit it a bit better.
Yeah, because in Doom Eternal, there's platforming, and it's not needed. It's absolutely not needed at all. Doom 2016 to me was a 9 out of 10. Doom Eternal is a 5, 6. It tries to be too clever. It's just, yeah. Saying that multiplayer is just absolute garbage as well.
Oh.
But look, you can get Alex's advice on that, but Doom Eternal definitely feels like a step backwards, which is unfortunate.
That's a real shame.
Warhammer Vermintide 2, which was a game that was originally added to Game Pass, then got removed, then re-added at a later stage. So I got 2 Game Pass games knocked off my list because of that, which is great. Pretty much just complete tutorial. Got that, but same time, I was just having console crashes, but worked fine on the OG. In terms of worst ideas for Game Pass games, Vamprace Cold Soul, just really slow paced. Sword and Blade is your like old like hack and slash kind of adventure, I guess. But it's just one of those games that just has too many options and just does not look pretty. And then, absolute best idea ever, community-based level achievements for Levelhead.
Oh, perfect.
Which I was explaining to Matt the other day. Basically, if you want to get some of these achievements, you need... One of them is to get 100 people to play 75 of your custom-created levels.
What?
So you gain a tower every time you get 100 people to play a level, and it's all dependent on that. 4 people have completed the game. It played a little bit of it. Did not look pretty. It was just very easy to get a tutorial-based achievement, but I mean, that's probably one that's going to forever sit on my take and not get played. Most excited to play, there was quite a few. Moonlighter, roguelite merchant kind of game. Really interesting at the start. World War Z seems like a really nice zombie co-op game.
200-hour grind.
It's 200-hour grind, but it, like, for what I played of it, I could easily see me playing in a party of 4, enjoying this, knocking out it like one day a week for probably the next 2 years. Yeah, the next few years. Shadow Warrior 1 and 2. Going through Game Pass, I've realized that Devolver Digital makes some absolutely amazing games.
Well, they publish a lot of really good stuff. Yeah, Devolver's fantastic.
Yeah. Shadow Warrior 1 and 2, just the humor, just the gameplay is just absolutely phenomenal. Rage 2. Always heard nice things about the Rage games. Never really played one. I did both I think I've done both the Xbox One as well as the Windows 10 now. Just popped an achievement in it. Looks absolutely amazing on PC. Like phenomenal. One of the most beautiful games I've ever seen, to be honest. West of Dead. Dungeon crawler. I want to say roguelite from memory. Have you played West of Dead?
Yeah, it's roguelite essentially.
Yeah, really, really interesting. Like, I guess, Western combat, if you want to say.
I'm trying to recall who actually voiced that too. It's that really famous guy.
Nolan North, Steve Blum.
I was going to say Nolan North's always the same.
Troy Baker.
I'll Google it. Sorry,
Yuri Lowenthal.
Hey, I'm just giving guesses like Kirby, okay? I'm just keeping it nice and vague. Okay.
Moving on. Undermine. Really nice roguelite as well. Played a little bit of that. Could actually see myself sinking quite a few hours into it. Forager, which I did sink, I think 2 to 3 hours in on Friday night. Really, really fun game. Essentially, top-down Minecraft. Hotshot Racing. Just absolutely phenomenal arcade racer. Definitely recommend that if that's your thing. Wizard of Legend as well. Just roguelite stuff I wasn't expecting. Double Kick Heroes, which is essentially a Guitar Hero zombie killing clone, if that makes sense. So I
know it doesn't, but I've seen the game, so I know what you're talking about.
You know, your I guess your music menu down the bottom. A for lower base attacks, B for higher base attacks. I kept on failing in the first stage because I skipped the tutorial. not realizing that I can't just tap A in sequence because it just kills the enemies at the bottom of the screen, but not the top. Yeah. But there's not that much of an indication between both of them, so you don't realize until they're like close enough to the car to absolutely take you out. And Hypnospace Outlaw,
that's on my 2 playlist,
which is just absolutely mind-boggling.
It's basically like did you like GeoCities back in the day? Well, guess what? It's GeoCities on crack.
It's definitely a game that I would describe on crack. I was like, what have I? Why? What am I doing? Copyright infringement?
Yep, you're the copyright police, mate. You got to go in there and like anyone who's putting a copyrighted material on their equivalent of a Facebook page or personal landing page, you got to shut that down.
First achievement in the game is just like grade 2, copyrighted material on the internet. This isn't gonna stand in my book. Just absolutely just submitting your report. Just like, cool. I made $15 from, basically convicting a year 2 student of copyright law. I feel real satisfied with my life.
It's a rough world out there, man.
Pretty much, I'm just going to give a top 3 and worst 3 recommendations. 2 Point Hospital started on both Windows 10 and Xbox. Great game. One of those like really Sims like simulation games. Really enjoyed it. Halo Wars 2, same as above. Played the first 5 minutes of it. Just that real-time strategy itch got me into. Feels like Age of Empires to me, just without making the without actually creating the units.
So the boring bits?
Yeah, just like planning and all that. No, just
planning. No, mate. It's create horse archers, select all, target enemy base.
I was going to say, take the create out of it, though. It's just got me charging. Like, that's all I need to do. Just charge.
Perfect.
Cool.
Charge, every time.
And then Descenders, which I charged into a tree 4 times to get wrecked, which was one of the first achievements in the game. Descenders and Lonely Mountains Downhill, different in their game style, but both really good, like BMX, just riding downhill kind of games.
Cycling games,
yeah. Worst 3, I'm pretty sure Matt's going to agree with me on this. Bridge Constructor Portal.
Yeah, that game's awful.
Played 10 levels of it. And I'm just like, this is
it's
way
so
too
boring. It's way too long, and like it's twice as long as it needs to be.
Like Portal, the humor of Gladys and all that's just on point and all that. This just feels so dry and so forced. Drake Hollow, it's not a bad game, but it just really doesn't like to hold your hand at the start, it feels like. Doesn't really give an indication of what you're meant to do or how to progress in the game. Played like probably 20 minutes of it, and I just had no idea. And Astronomer, which is just space kind of thing, which I really didn't like. Same with No Man's Sky. It's just not my thing.
Nah, fair enough.
But yeah, so obviously going for the Game Pass ruler, I'm attempting to hit all, I want to say 658 games that have been in Game Pass at one point or another. I'm currently tallied at 351.
We got a little bit of work to do.
Yeah. Got another 13 days, but be interesting to see where I end up, because I have two rivals in all of this, which of course are the Endless Bean Divers. Been doing this for years. But
yeah. So good luck.
Quick F in the chat for paying my respects for my Xbox One X. It will be used to upgrade to the next evolution of Xbox Series X.
And then it'll be someone else's problem.
Look, trade it in. It's just like, why is this console playing all the heavier hitting titles? Look, mate, you got a backwards compatibility console. You should be happy.
I mean, look, they don't make them anymore, so they're just going to put up with whatever One X's are left out in the wild.
Pretty much it. But 2,460 ending up, which I know is nothing compared to what Mr. Number One New Zealand's going to put
That's a pretty good score. I mean, that's ahead of Aftos, and he had a pretty good week.
I mean, this is basically with starting 100 games and popping one achievement, which usually every achievement in the game starting off is like a 5 or a 10G.
Yeah, that's not
Saying
bad.
that, Trampson World, nice 75 in 5 minutes, and 100 for Deadlight Director's Cut, which is 2 minutes into the game.
I mean, look, if you don't care about completions, you can get your score up really, really fast.
The other thing too, I have been letting Aftos know where my where my completion percentage has dropped to during the week. I started out at, I want to say 43.5%. With 130 to 140 games started, where do you think I've dropped to, Matt?
Probably 39.
Less.
You're lower than 39? 30,
See, this is funny because Aftos kept on going way too low.
Way too low.
Yeah,
And now,
no,
because
30,
of the amount of games you're played, I think you're going way too high.
Yeah, okay, so let's say 32.
No. Way too low.
So, like that's what I said, 37?
37.7.
Oh, boy.
So I've dropped 5% starting 140 titles. 130 titles.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is a lot lower than what I kept guessing, to be fair.
That's rough.
Just before you move on, I ended up Googling West of Dead. That voice actor is Ron Perlman.
Oh. Okay, yeah. Hellboy himself.
Yeah.
I mean, the good Hellboy. I mean, to be fair, he looks like Hellboy just without the makeup.
Oh, rude. Rude.
Look, he's got the perfect face for it.
Says the Kirby's man
Most handsome man on the podcast.
most handsome man on the podcast as voted by Kirby. Yeah, so just
To
chucking
be fair-
that
to be
shade
fair,
out. Me.
immediately after it said, he's like, yeah, he's no Adonis. I'm like, okay, well, backhanded compliment if I ever heard one.
Still a compliment though from Kirby.
Yeah,
That's
sure.
right.
Look, I'll take it. All right, what have I been playing? What haven't I been playing is probably a better question.
Hey,
So
that's my section of the podcast.
So, I have been working on Hall of Fame for New Zealand. I'm currently sitting in third, last time I checked. There's 2 people ahead of me by about 1,000 points.
Okay.
They keep just creeping ahead of me. I just can't shake them. So, I'm not going to talk about every game that I played, but I have played a lot. I will talk about just some of the stuff that stood out to me, because a lot of it was just trash that I barely even remember. I got through all of Ultimate Chicken Horse. That is a fun party game that I played by myself. And I just played by myself and just won every time.
You didn't play with Allison?
No.
No, that would have slowed him down. Come on.
Exactly. No, I don't have time for that. This is a 6 to 8 hour completion. I got it done in like 5:30.
I don't have time for girlfriends. I've got to be an Xbox Hall of Famer.
Exactly. So I was like, you know what? It was something that I wanted to work on, and I had it in the backlog for ages. Yeah. Relatively easy completion. Decent TA. Sure, do it. In the trash list, I also played Swordbreaker the game, which is a choose-your-own adventure, which I actually really had a great time with. It's incredibly fast, because all it is essentially is like you just read out the guide of like, okay, do I pick option 1 or option 2? And then you just pick option 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 3, and then there's the ending.
Is it just one playthrough, get all the achievements?
No, it's like 21 playthroughs, but it's very, very quick. Like, it's essentially like you can just skip. It's all text, and it's all just text and images. So it's very much like the old sort of like Goosebumps choose your own adventure kind of style.
Okay, cool.
I had a great time with it. Like, it's like very funny. Like, there's a lot of references and stuff. Like, Freddy Krueger shows up for 2 seconds for some reason. It's very strange, but I had a great time with it. I also finally finished Panarium, which I was getting very salty about. Anyone who's played it probably knows what I'm talking about. It is it's a platforming game where you have to run around a fixed screen, avoiding hazards from the top and bottom of the screen. And so you have to smash barrels. Usually, you have to smash barrels, and every time you smash 5 barrels, the hazards change. So the last achievement I had left to do was to smash 150 barrels in one run without getting killed. This game is a 6 to 8 hour completion. It took me almost 12 hours by the time I was done with it. I played that last 150 barrels for at least 4 to 5 hours, almost straight, trying to get it. It was rough. I got a few, like 144, got a 146. Basically, it's random every time up until like the last few, and then the last few you get an idea of how they work. But the problem is getting up to those stages takes forever. You can unlock cards that help you out. Every 15 barrels you smash, you can use an ability. So there was one that like gave you a Cyclops power, so it would shoot a beam in front of you, so you didn't actually have to touch the barrel. You could just get close to it. One of them was like a shield that gives you like one free hit. One of them was like 15 seconds of invincibility. Things like that. It took me a long time. That game is a lot of fun, but my god, I got very tilted. But I got it done. I'm very, very happy with it. It's a fun game. It has it's like a 1.4 ratio, so like it's not a hard game if you know how to be a platformer. Apparently, I just don't. I also played Bard's Gold, which I think I talked about a few weeks ago. I finally knuckled down and just was like, you know what, I'm just going to get this done. I only had a little bit left of the game. I had like 2 worlds to go, so I just smashed through worlds 3 and 4. And basically doesn't have any trouble with it. It was my first thing that I played as soon as the 1st of October rolled around for Hall of Fame. Figured I'd get a nice easy boost to start with because it was it was like 400 points worth to get. I got in like 2 runs. I also played Liquid Sunshine, which was a game I got given as a code. Apologies, I don't remember who sent it to me. Really appreciate it though. Had a really, really good time with it. It is a side-scrolling platformer puzzle where you play as 3 different characters that have different abilities. One of them is a monkey who can climb and go through small gaps. You have a horse who can jump long distances, and you can throw the monkey across gaps. And then you have a rhino who can't jump at all, and if he falls off any gap, he dies immediately. But he can bash through doors. He's immune to radiation, and he can boost people up to stuff and things like that. It's a pretty standard side-scrolling sort of. It's like all like black and white, so it's like all silhouetted, very much like Limbo. Like obviously took a lot of inspiration from that, but it's done this. It has this sort of comic book art style, which is like really, really interesting, very sort of trippy and weird. Like the stuff about Chernobyl and stuff. It's very definitely play it. It's interesting. It's a short completion too, maybe 1 hour, maybe 2. Also played Ben 10.
Madman.
Yeah, it's okay. There's not really a lot to it. It's one of the few series that's devolved over the years. I played through pretty much every other Ben 10 game, and most of them have been okay to decent. This one's really bare bones. It's basically just a MASH X simulator and trying to get hit by the enemies while occasionally upgrading stuff. It's only like 6 levels long or something like that. It's like 1 level and then like a level with a boss, and there's 3 bosses. So there's not really much to the game. It's just kind of some easy points. It's just been in my backlog for a long time. Another awesome, interesting one that I played was Seasons of the Samurai, which is not at all what I was expecting. It is a Hitman Go style hex-based game where you have to move a samurai through an environment while changing the seasons, and changing the seasons makes the platforms do different things.
Is there a guide for that?
Yes, Sangrius is a very, very good video guide that will walk you through the whole thing in about an hour. If you didn't have a guide, it would be pretty tough, because basically you need to get gold on each of the missions, and the gold threshold is essentially maybe make 1 mistake, if that. Most of them I'd like be perfect. So use the guide, you'll be fine. Interesting kind of game. The first early levels are probably fun to just sort of figure out on your own, but just going through it, like towards the end, it gets very, very complex, and there's a lot of trial and error because you don't know exactly what changing the seasons will do to the platforms until you've tried it once. So make a lot of notes or just watch the video guide. And then I also fired up Doom Eternal. And I played like maybe 15 minutes of it, and yeah, I'm not super feeling it. I just kind of want to get it. I kind of want to try it because there's been a lot of talk about it, and we want to do the multiplayer at some stage. Want to see if there are any easy points, but I think it's pretty backloaded, so that'll be probably sit in the backlog at least till October 20 or whenever I end up getting back to it. But that's sort of just a selection of what I've been playing. There's a heap of other Radalaika and East Asia Soft and a bunch of other trash. But that puts me at 34,975 for this week. Which is usually what I do. Which is usually what I do, in roughly about 3 months. So it's been a hellish 5 days or so.
Yeah, fight again, buddy.
No, not yet. So we'll see. I'm like I said, I don't really have much of a chance of actually winning the New Zealand competition because Like I'm up against an alt, for an example, that had like 5 games played on it, and I just can't. The only way I can compete with that is if they don't have the games available to them, which I suspect they very much do. So we'll see. It's only the 6th. This goes till the 19th. We've got 13 days left. I will try and do some more. I'm going to try and hit my 1.5 million this week if I can. I'm 9,000 points away from it roughly. So I'm going to play a bit more trash, and I've decided that my 1.5 million game is probably going to be Mr. Masagi Mayo Edition, because that's one of the worst looking games I've ever seen in my entire life.
Are you just a masochist on the inside?
I mean, like, if you look at my trophy case, it's all pretty bad games.
I was going to say, I was just reading the TA article on that before. What is it? Click a game, half dating sim.
Dating sim, yep. It's like my perfect storm of just terrible stuff. Oh, I also played this Roommates visual novel. It's terrible. Don't play it.
I was going to say...
it's just awful.
Not sure if you guys are 90 Day Fiance fans, but I'm sure Nikita
No, I'm not.
I'm sure Nikita would insert a joke about, no Nick Ed here with his mayo on the hair.
I have no idea what you're talking about, and neither do any of our listeners. No one would watch
There's a guy
like Kirby
on this reality show. This is all I know because I refuse to watch it with her. That styles his hair with mayonnaise.
Okay, right. Well, I think that's enough time. I think we need to move on.
Yeah,
that's horrific.
Surely that would smell though after a while.
Yeah, no. We're not doing this. I'm not. Yes, it would smell terrible, and.
I mean, there is a scene with Cameron Diaz in a movie as well where she styles her hands with her hair with something else.
No, I don't want to have to edit this whole
I mean,
bit
look,
out.
it's fine if it's an attractive woman, but I mean, like, a guy that just has no neck covering his hair, no thank you.
That's not my fetish, alright?
It's somebody's fetish.
Right. It is somebody's, but it sure as hell isn't mine. Okay, let's get on to the sales.
Oh, yes. I bought some. I bought one, I should say.
Gamerscore games. We had a few this week that are on sale. Ascendance, First Horizon, 40% off for $3.59. Doodle God Crime City, 60% off for $5.99. Jack Quest, Tale of the Sword, 60% off $3.99. Pixel Gladiator, 50% off $2.49. And Restless Hero, 50% off $4.99. Recommendations. I recommend... Call of Juarez Gunslinger. It is technically a backwards compatible title, but it is the best of the Call of Juarez series, which is not saying a lot. But it's a really interesting narrative game where you play an old cowboy sitting in a saloon, telling a story, telling stories to all his mates about a bunch of stuff that's been going on at a poker. I think it's at a poker game. And as the story goes on, people interject with like, "Hey, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense." He's like, "Oh, wait, hang on." It's like, "Oh, I was surrounded by 10 Indians." He's like, really? He's like, that doesn't sound that bad. He's like, oh, no, sorry, it was 50 Indians, and then suddenly 50 of them just fall from the sky, and you have to fight them all. So, like, it's very much like unreliable narrator, like, really sort of fun and interesting. It's got a really interesting kind of dueling mechanic, where you have to draw against, he basically just inserts himself into every sort of standard, spaghetti western situation ever created. It's really, really good. The only problem with it is that there is the challenge mode is quite challenging, as the name would suggest. I still haven't finished it, but I did really, really enjoy the story for sure. All right, Aftos, what do you recommend?
I recommend Assassin's Creed Odyssey Gold Edition. I actually picked that up. So that's currently $29.04 Australian, which is a historic low. The previous historic low for it was $50.82.
Would you recommend it because your best mate's daughter is named after a Greek god?
Definitely, that's part of the reason somewhere. But yeah, it's essentially $20 cheaper than its previous historic low.
It's a great deal.
Yeah, it's so essentially for $30 Australian, you're getting Assassin's Creed 3 remastered, the base game for Odyssey, the Fields of Elysium, along with the entire season pass. So there's at least 200 hours there for $30 Australian. So I picked that up. I jumped on that pretty much straight away. I'm contemplating, and I know you've talked about it 100 times, Matt, but I still am confused. Hitman 2 Gold Edition is again at the same historic low it was last time. at August 25th, but that does not include everything, or it does?
Yeah, okay, so the Gold Edition includes everything except for the Legacy Pack. So all of the Hitman 2 DLC is in that. So if you don't own any of it, get that edition. And if you own Hitman 1, which you should, because I think it was Games with Gold.
Which I do, yeah.
You should, and you have all the map packs for that, which you should do. It'll automatically allow you to download the Legacy packs, which are just the map packs from the first game added to the second game. And that gives you everything.
Which you have to search for separately, which can be an absolute hassle.
Yeah, it's a bit of a nightmare, but yes.
Okay. So yeah, I'm contemplating that one. So that's $28 Australian. Again, it's the same historic low, but I mean, thinking about it,
it's a great game. Like if you're looking for a lot of points and a lot of content, like that's a great. Like both of those are very big games to play.
Yeah. And I've already picked up Odyssey, which is another reason why I'm thinking about it, because I think Hitman has a little bit of room to go down a little more. And probably my last one for the people who don't own it already, but it's not at a historic low, so if you want to hold off, you can, sorry. Batman Arkham Collection, for essentially $34 Australian. That has been lower, but I picked up Arkham Knights by itself along with the Season Pass, and then the two older Batman separately. I've only played Batman Arkham Knight, and I know that's apparently the worst one, but I had ridiculous amounts of fun with that game. So back in my head, I keep meaning to go back to the originals, but back in my head I keep thinking, man, if that one was supposed to be the worst one and I had a huge amount of fun in that, like I've got some dream time coming up with that. So that's probably the only one I recommend. But I mean, if you're a little bit frugal with your cash like what I am, it has been $25.48 previously, and it's $33.98 Australian at the moment. So if you want to hold out, save the cash. But yeah, apart from that, that's it. But yeah, I picked up Odyssey Gold Collection. That's a still and a half. Shadow?
In terms of recommendations, I would say any of the Yakuza. A lot of the stuff I'm going to recommend is on Game Pass, because this is what I've been doing for the last week and a half. Yakuza, all three of them, Zero, Kiwami, and Kiwami 2. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but from what I played, all great games. I played a little bit of Lego City Undercover, which is 75% off for $22.48. Really great family game. Some nice humor in that. There was something else I was going to recommend. I was going to recommend Batman, but somebody stole that off me after Assassin's Creed. Wonder who that was.
You should have done your homework.
I did my homework, and then somebody copied off me. You know how it goes. Look, some really great Lego game sales. No, I can't find it. I'm going to pick up F1 2018 because that was historically a Game Pass game as well. That's 80% off for $14.99. I mean, racing games, F1, you kind of know what you're getting yourself into. Recommendation, Redeemer.
Oh, yeah.
Did that
yeah.
2 months ago. 75% off, $11.23. Really nice, easy, I guess, shooter slash hack and slash top down. Really quick. I think it was 6 to 8 hour completion off the top of my head. A few level specific achievements. I think the very last one was a bit it was a little bit buggy, but not as bad as what you may think. But I mean, if I can do it, then anybody can. And
I actually haven't heard of that game. I'm just looking at it.
I picked it up $5 at EB when they were having the sale. I might actually still have a copy that I can send you. Yeah, I do. All right, give me your address.
Maybe not while we're recording.
Maybe not while we're recording, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I have to at one stage anyway, buddy.
All right.
New games, what have we got?
Nothing's coming out. Star Wars Squadron came out. I wanted to play that, but I haven't got around to it.
What? If you win this competition, that can be your prize. That can be the one game you're allowed to buy.
We'll see. I want to see someone finish the game first before I get into it.
That's fair enough.
Apparently, it's pretty tough. And also, it's apparently why that and Flight Sim are why you can't basically get a flight stick anymore if you play on PC. They've all disappeared or skyrocketed in price because everyone's buying them.
Wow.
Oh, I thought that was Microsoft Flight Simulator. Damn it!
Yeah, well, there's that.
All these flight
All
sim
right.
games coming out this year.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's a resurgence.
I
We're
mean-
getting X-Wing versus TIE Fighter back, basically, and we're getting Flight Sim back.
I was going to say you never would have guessed when we were in a lockdown that prevented people from flying. Anyway, moving along into the questions. Isaac put a question in this week.
Yeah, I was going to say Isaac's question that definitely came in this week and not last week. Isaac says, "Hey guys, recently the RTX 3080 was released and immediately sold out due to resellers using bots to buy all the available stock. They've also actually, just as a side note, come out and said that if this continues in the current trend, they will completely sell out of all of their 3000 stock of all of the models."
Whoa.
Yeah. Similar things have happened with the Switch years ago, and I can only assume it also affected the Series X and S and PS5 pre-orders as well. What do you think about this happening? Does it affect you? Have you heard about it happening in your countries? Thanks for the show as always. All right, Cameron, let's go with you since you're saltiest.
Well, I pretty much talked about my experience of my friends are the nicest people from the bottom of their hearts, and they bought me one. Granted that it's coming in, but it took me attempting on every site at 8 a.m. when the EB one started till actually getting a pre-order confirmation at 5:30 p.m. to actually secure something, which was absolutely nuts.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
But I mean, look, I'm getting one this year. Grant, like, fingers crossed that it is going to be this year. I would imagine December. But I mean, I just fully expect that the Hall of Famers now are the only ones that are going to have the consoles on launch
Oh,
day.
you took my joke out from under me. All right, so yeah, I'm thinking that potentially, if I win, and it's a big if, I might be the only person on the podcast. Yes, thank you. To see, well, yeah, if you get one at launch, we'll see what happens. It would be funny, but it is.
I got mine through Microsoft. I still got my fingers crossed.
Yeah, you'll be fine. I think you'll be fine. I think that. Yeah, I think that companies really need to be thinking about. Well, on the one hand, do the companies care?
No, I mean,
No, of course
They-
not.
I mean,
Because they get the money either way, right? They don't really care about resellers.
they care, but they care to an extent. It's
Well, like, here's the thing, right?
Like-
say there are 500 Series X's, right? 300 of them get bought by bots and get resold on eBay for, twice 2 to 3 times what they're actually worth. And the other 200 get bought by the rest of us. Microsoft could be like, well, guess what? The new ones are in, and you're definitely going to buy them now because the only alternative is to buy them from these blood-sucking things. And you won't even complain that you had to wait a month because you got them for retail price. You're getting a bargain. I mean, that's my cynical marketing brain being like, how do we best spin this situation into a way that benefits us? But like the companies have nothing to lose except for a little bit of face. And the way internet outrage works, crazy, and then just we move on to whatever the next thing is.
I mean, as long as you're not harassing your employee, like 1 in 4 employees, you're usually on the safe side.
Usually, yes. This is about screwing over the consumer, not the people who work for you.
Yeah.
Having said that, though, there is a lot to be said about, the quote-unquote user experience.
Sure.
Like, if I had pre-ordered from JB and got a text message saying, hey, you know what, you're not actually getting launch stock, it'll probably be December, but, we'll probably SMS you then and push you out further. That does leave a bad taste in people's mouths. Like, I know if that happened to me, if I had a choice to go anywhere but JB, I probably would, just based off that experience. Same with EB, although EB hasn't really stated much, but like things like that would put me off, where if you do have a competitor who hasn't left a bad taste and is offering the same product at the same price, essentially at the end of the day, you're walking in with cash, you're walking out with the box. There's nothing in terms of differentiation that the stores can actually offer. At that case, it's purely dependent on just stock levels and your previous experience with them. I'd argue it kind of does. So I'm not too sure about that. But in terms of the actual question, like what I said last week, I was just shocked that there was no anti-bot mechanism anywhere. Like, that still blows my mind. Like pretty much everything else I buy online, there's a capture or, click here to prove you're not a robot or something like that. There was nothing.
It's like, how did this catch them with their pants down? Like, what were they expecting? Like, it's not like bots were a thing that came out yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think if we had anything like this back. We didn't have anything like this back around 2013 because it was going to store. Not to this extent. Like,
not to this extent, but it definitely happened in terms of pre-orders. But, we also pre-ordered the less popular console.
Yeah, this is true, actually.
Although, wasn't there a thing today, I'll let you guys talk, that essentially someone came out from Xbox and said that they smashed all...
Yeah, they're doing very, very well at the moment. They basically sold out of most of their stuff. Oh, puppy.
I just love... Yeah. I just got to address to audio listeners, we have backgrounds on for Skype, which we post in the RGS Champs channel, because we want to support our Patreon followers, give them a little bit extra. Out of nowhere, Steven's just got a grey screen this week. Fair enough. He wants to be boring and dull. That's on him, yeah?
No. Clarification. Let me clarify. It's supposed to be a picture of Minecraft Steve, but for some unknown reason, it shows up as a grey screen, and I just was not bothered to change it. I'm like, that's it, it's done.
I'm sorry.
It's fine. We'll just post it in the Discord.
It's real life Steve. It's fine. Basically, though, just out of nowhere, it's just like Pug. Just jumps over your shoulder.
Let me just turn off the background, because you're missing... Where are you, buddy? There you are.
Oh.
There you are, buddy.
Is this the dumb one?
No. That's Pugnacious. He's the needy one. He needs love. That's why he's at my back. He's been there pretty much the whole time. Yeah, I forgot what I was saying.
No, fair enough. Pugs will do that to you. Well, do you want to ask your question, Aftos, that you put in the chat?
What do you think, if any, the mid-generation refresh of the consoles will include? Now, the reason why I said that is because I was chatting to one of my friends, who's unfortunately a PlayStation man, but I was just chatting to one.
No one's perfect.
Yeah, I know. That's essentially the same thing I said to him. I said, you're almost perfect, dude. But, yeah, so we were chatting, and then he's like, well, we sort of had a late previous generation upgrade with the Xbox One X.
And the Pro.
And the Pro before that, and the S before that, and all that sort of stuff. And I was like, okay, cool. And then we got to thinking, because he's a little salty about the size of the SSD in the PS5.
As you would be.
But apart from that, he's, of the camp that, anyway, who cares? And essentially the question that he said is, what do you reckon the mid-generational refresh will include? He's like, because you got the upgraded CPU, that's amazing now. You've got the GPU, which is pretty hot. You've got the SSD tech, which don't think you'd see improvements of. If anything, probably just size. But they're trying to sell you. Yeah. They're trying to sell you the externals. So would they upgrade an entire console just for that? And I was like, yeah, fair call. They might not. And we already have ray tracing. And 4K 60 is pretty much, apart from Assassin's Creed Valhalla, going to be standard.
Close to it, yeah.
So he asked me that question, and then I was thinking about it for a while, and I was like, actually, you got a point. I've actually got no idea where the next mid-generational refresh would include. Like, if it's just going to be 2 terabyte hard drive, that's not going to sell a $600 console. You've got the CPU, you've got everything else, and I was actually stumped, so I actually didn't have the answer, so I posted it. So my answer is, I don't know.
Just to clarify, so the consoles usually go through a redesign in terms of their aesthetic, so size-wise, and I think we'll definitely see one of those. We'll see probably a slightly slimmer Series X and probably a less weird-looking PlayStation 5 at some stage. on the inside, they'll pretty much be the same. There won't really be any real difference in terms of technology or power or hardware. Again, they might make minor improvements, but nothing that you would really notice. It'll basically be form factor, in the same way that we saw from the OG Xboxes to, let's say, the Xbox One S's. In terms of actual, mid-step hardware, I think that we're probably going to be moving away from that in terms of we're even referring to it as a mid-step hardware. I think we're just going to see more often we're going to have more upgrades that are just backwards compatible. So in the same way that Apple brings out a new iPhone every year, I think we're going to start seeing, maybe not every year quite, but I think we're going to see, instead of every 7 years, we might see it every 3 years. And instead of being it's a half step up, it's no, this is just the next one. It'll actually have a better hard drive, like I said, a bigger hard drive. It might actually have it'll have probably the same CPU, but slightly better GPU possibly. And it's the previous stuff will work on it, it'll upscale it, and there'll be a couple of things that only, eventually there'll be a cutoff. But I think we're going to start seeing more of the treadmill as this planned obsolescence, constantly moving spec becomes just kind of the norm. And I think that especially with the all access payment plan stuff allowing for that upgrade on a 2-year cycle, I think that is the sort of perfect time span to start thinking about that. Whether they actually get to that or not, whether the technology advances fast enough in an affordable way for that to be realistic, I'm not sure, but I think that's definitely where they're planning on going.
Just add into that, in likelihood, I don't see it happening, but I'd love to see it happen. Xbox Series S, getting a version down the line where it's just, it's probably going to sacrifice the tininess of it a bit, but getting a disk drive, if the demand was there.
I mean, they'll probably sell you an external disk drive more likely as an accessory.
Yeah. What's the likelihood of that, though?
I'm very unlikely, to be honest, because, both console makers are trying to drive everyone to digital only, because they make money. They make money on every game sold on it, right? And they're trying to kill off the retail market, which makes sense because it's been a thorn in their side that they just haven't. The only reason they need it is to distribute the consoles, and they don't even need them for that much anymore these days.
You can get it direct from the supplier, so
exactly. It's becoming easier and easier to get games. Games are more available. Games are going on more sales. Game Pass is a better offering.
Back at the start of the console generation, we got taxed for basically being Australian in terms of games. I'm not sure if the same case was for New Zealand.
Same for New Zealand, yeah.
We just paid the premium just because of our nationality, basically, which sucked. Saying that, I purely think that, in terms of it, the Series X will just get smaller over time.
It'll have to.
I mean, I don't know if everybody's going to want a massive chunky boy on their desk. As much as
I'm still trying to figure out where I'm going to fit mine, but we'll get there.
Just stick it next to the TV.
Yeah, exactly.
Fine. But I still feel like a year's going to pass and there's going to be that halfway point between an X and an S is going to be announced.
Quite possibly.
Not quite the premium, but still having the disk drive and...
Well, no disk drive, I assume, is probably more likely what it's going to be. It's probably going to be a Series X Power with no disk drive, I would guess.
Okay.
Again, because they want to move in that digital direction, but they know they can't get rid of the discs right yet because they have too much reliance on retailers.
Look, having said that, if there was a Series X digital version, like I said, I've been going through my physical. I've got one game left, which is that South Park game I talked about earlier. Everything to me is digital now.
I don't see myself buying a single Series X game physically anymore. I've got a few 360 games that aren't backwards compatible and things like that, and I've got a few Xbox One games that I've picked up over the years. But 90% of my library now is digital, and it'll probably be 100% going forward.
Yeah.
Cameron just looks to his right with his bookcase full of physical media.
Mate, try sell it for $1 million on eBay.
If nobody understands that reference, somebody's trying to sell 25,000 movies for $1 million, which is just nuts.
It's ridiculous.
But look, I'm pretty much always going to be the option of I'll pick it up. I'll go down to Big W or eBay or whatever if it's on sale and pick it up there. I like having options. I don't care if I stuff from Discord.
Options are good. I think that the only way they're going to get around it is Microsoft have to start offering better sales and more of them. But then, like, Game Pass is supposed to be the killer for that, right? Is that you don't buy the games at all. You just keep paying them each month, and you buy the DLC for the game that you basically played an extended demo of.
Hey, it works. I've bought it.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Love Ultimate. Anyway.
I mean, not this year, obviously, but...
Yeah.
All right.
Anything else to mention there?
No, I think we've basically beaten that to death.
Cool.
Thank you for your questions, Isaac and Aftos. If you want to send in more questions, you can add them into our Discord channel. We have a questions channel that is only for questions and not for bad posting.
Wait, who did the bad posting? Was that me?
That's all of you. You're all terrible. All right? It's just for the questions. Cut out the memes. All right? Now, I'm including myself in that because I'm memeing in there as well. All right?
Can we actually? Okay, we need to make a meme channel.
No. We do not need to make a meme channel. We already have a meme channel. It's basically the entire Discord.
No, that's. Do you want me just posting memes everywhere? It's like you go to spoiler chat, you get the boys' memes of the week.
This is why I have most of the Discord muted. Just because it's just.
I just need a channel to post my IT crowd memes. That's all I need.
All right. Well, how about we move into channeling the milestones?
Okay.
How about you look into that channel and tell me what milestones people earned this week?
All right. So milestones, we have Carpe Adam 79, reaching 5,000 achievements won. Han 90, 6,000 achievements won. Retro Chief 1969, 7,000 achievements won. Calvera 8,000 achievements won. Ben L 72, 12,000. Salzabar 14,000. Galaxy 15,000. Mad Mike Forever 19,000, and then just blowing everybody else out of the water is Neomaster at 52,000. Which is just insane.
That is insane.
It's a few. Yeah, it's a fair few. I don't know if it's enough to... It's not the highest in Australasia for the Xbox One stuff. I looked, but it's definitely the highest for New Zealand.
Honestly, if you could win every Xbox Hall of Fame category...
I would love to win all 4 categories. It would be so good.
You just want the salt from the other people.
Of
That's
course
all.
I want the salt. I just want them... No, it's like, I don't want to... I'm fine just winning one, as long as no one else wins the other ones. As long as it's just me.
Even if it's just the article saying just like...
Yeah, just me at the 4 categories.
They gave the second person the award because Neomaster had stolen every other...
Yeah, I mean, look. I'm just saying, for New Zealand, looking at the lifetime Gamerscore and the lifetime achievements earned, I am almost more than double for both of whoever's in second place for those in New Zealand. I deserve both of the awards, okay? I know I'm only going to get one because that's what the rules say, but come on, man. Like, that's not... I could have slapped half of the generation and still been winning.
Give me 2 trophies. That's all I want.
Yeah, I want 2 trophies. I want 2 hoodies.
Yeah, 1 hoodie.
And 2 years of Xbox Ultimate.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, no, I want 2 consoles because now on my I can put them on one on each side of the TV so they're symmetrical.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
It's all about the symmetry. All
right,
Gamerscore. Calvera 400,000. Black Buff 450,000. Galaxy 500,000. Good job, buddy. Halfway there. Whack Appeal 800,000, and Fresh Forever 1.4 million Gamerscore.
He's catching up.
Whoa.
He's been catching up. He's been nipping at my heels for a little bit now.
He's on your tail.
Yeah.
He might even win the Xbox Hall of Fame.
Yeah, no, that's not crazy.
XLAX Jester, hey buddy, 300,000 TA score. Black Buff 800,000 TA score. Buck Marley 155, 1.1 million TA score. And Neomaster just absolutely just going crazy, 2.6 million TA score. Games played, Mad Mike Forever 750, Fresh Forever 1,750, and I'm just going to poke it in here. I'm a few off my 1,000.
Alright, that's good. Games played is not a real milestone, but whatever, that's fine.
Let's see
You
if I
have
can get my
fired
completion.
so many shots tonight, Neo. It is unreal.
It's fine. Like I got both my 6 shooters ready. 12 bullets, more than enough to kill anything that moves.
Both 400 games completed. Lord Chibello, 13, and Buck Marley, 155. And streaks, we have Tatey on 12,500 achievement win streak, and Seamus McLimey on a 4-year achievement win streak.
All right, that basically wraps up the show. If you want to get in touch with us, you can email us at hello@realgamerscore.com and send us questions. Isaac does that every couple of weeks. We really appreciate it. Twitter, at realgamerscore. You can see Cameron posting the hottest memes and the worst takes. Discord.io/realgamerscore if you want to come join the chat and the madness that ensues. And patreon.com/realgamerscore if you want to give us some cash. So we can basically keep the show running and give out prizes and do word challenges that are absolutely esoteric. Write in some questions. We'll answer them next week. If you want to be on the show, don't worry about it. I'm not inviting anyone else on. And if you want to help the podcast, you can subscribe to us on iTunes or whatever podcast platform you're listening to. You guys are on the internet. You understand how subscription work. I don't need to run through this. You leave us a review. Tell your friends. Word of mouth is always big. Talk about it in your boosting chat. Every time you're doing a boosting thing, like I say, every time I make a boosting session, they have to answer what the song of the week is for the application. Otherwise, I don't let them in. And this week, I don't even know it, so I'm going to have to find out really quick because I've got division sessions coming up this weekend.
Yeah, actually, you did a whole bunch of them. I saw you pop up on my feed. It was like Neomaster has joined a boosting session about 4 or 5 times, and I'm like, someone's going a bit happy there.
I got to get them done. Like I joined a session over this last weekend, and we got I got 2 wins in the space of 3 hours. It was an absolute nightmare.
Terrible.
So it's I've still got 24 wins still to go. So at that rate, it will take me until the end of the year. But we'll see what next weekend looks like. Subscribe to us on YouTube where we host all this stuff. Patreon, as we already talked about. Aftos, if people want to find you, where can they find you?
Xbox FTOS84 or same tag on Discord.
Fantastic. Cameron?
Shadowless Space Edge, pretty much on Xbox and TA, or under the Xbox Achievement community on Facebook or the Real Gamerscore account on Twitter.
And you can find me on Neomaster on everything. Probably on all your feeds, holding a trophy very, very soon. I'm gonna have 2 Xboxes, one on each arm, like boom boxes. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna be even more insufferable than I am right now.
If I don't get a photo of you posing Phil Spencer with the rocket launcher meme, I will be sorely disappointed.
I love that meme. As a big fan of Commando back in the day, I absolutely love that meme.
Commando is a great movie.
I feel like if lockdown has taught us anything, it is that the level of memes in the second half of the year have just been absolute fire.
Yeah, mainly because the world's also been on that fire at the same time. All right, that's enough for the show. I'm done. We'll catch you guys next week. Peace.